So good morning. It's yet another Just One thing, and it's I'm back in the shed and it's frigging cold. So I have a scarf on. And I'm really delighted, although he looks in a much warmer space, to have Rhys join us this morning. Our first man on Just One Thing. We've just been off air discussing why that might be, and what we can do about it. But I'm delighted to have Rhys here, because I think he's running a really interesting project. And I think those of you who do listen to podcasts and those of you that don't, um, I think it might be one that you want to add to your list. So good morning, Rhys.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. Yes, it should be on your list. At least give the episode where I interview you a listen.
Oh yeah, let's give that a plug.
I think
So tell us a little bit about the Social Good podcast.
Right. So, Social Good Podcast is basically an excuse for me to talk to amazing people who are doing really interesting things, people like yourself. The story about how that came about is quite a long one, but once upon a time, a few years ago, I set up a social enterprise. And whilst I quite liked doing it, it really wasn't my strength. I'm much more of a do-it-myself guy rather than have to work with lots of other people and work with boards of directors or trustees. It really isn't one of my strengths. So, but I would go to networking things and I would meet amazing people and go, oh my God, that's amazing. If I wasn't doing this, I'd want to help you. And slowly, and I was already listening to podcasts, and there's an American podcaster called Tony Lloyd who I found and I thought maybe I should do something like that. And then of course I found other people who are doing social enterprise podcasts. Kate Lovekirk and I've forgotten the other lady's name, but there are 3 or 4 of us working in this field, and but by the time I'd found out about the competition, I'd already got people going, yeah, I'll do an interview with you. So I just interview people that are interesting, and then I put them out. We started with, I'd approach people I already knew. So then I pitched it to somebody I'd only just met, and Corrie, the founder of Kids Club Kampala, which is an amazing interview. So the second interview you must listen to, dear watcher, is after Claire's, is Kids Club Kampala. It's an amazingly inspirational story. She'd appreciate your donations, but don't feel you have to. But it is that powerful an interview where you go, oh my word, let's find the bank card, or let's sign up to do a standing order. So once I'd interviewed Corrie, I caught the bug well and truly, and since then I love it. I don't know how it'll develop yet. I've got some ideas, but there's nothing concrete at the moment. It's just me having fun. It takes a bit of time getting the guests, and lots of people say no and miss appointments, but on the whole it's really good, and I'm hoping to develop an ecosystem that'll feed into and people get ideas and inspiration from.
It sounds lovely.
And that would fit in with a lot of what your group does as well. So
yeah. I think we probably met on Ethical Hour, I would think.
I would guess so, yes.
Yeah. I think it's interesting because I'm not a podcast person. I don't listen to podcasts. I had never even heard of one until relatively recently. So can you tell people a little bit about what that means? Because I think people think it's something quite technical and difficult, and it's actually not.
Right, it's not. Definitely not. Good Lord, if I can do it, anyone can. I say anyone can. Anyone with the motivation can. So if you've never heard a podcast, they're like radio. It's a radio program, but you don't have to tune in at a specific time. It's just a radio program that stands on its own that you can listen to at any time through, I was going to say any electronic medium, but if it's got an internet connection, you can listen to it. So most people listen, although I have a website, socialgoodpodcast.com, don't you know? Most people, I think, listen to it on apps. or on your mobile phone. So it's, if you've got an iPhone, you listen on iPlayer, and if you go to Apple Podcasts, you'll find me there somewhere. If you're Android, there are dozens of apps that play podcasts of all sorts. And if you Google Social Good Podcasts into the search bar of any of those, you'll find me somewhere. Bright green logo and my picture usually. If not my picture, then a picture of the guest.
We're going to add all the links to the comments under this, because I think it's brilliant. What revolutionised for me, because I do love to listen to the radio in the car, but what I loved about podcasts was that you didn't have to do the tuning in at a specific time, and my life does not run to any wonderful routine.
Exactly.
And so the fact that I can just go, and there's something I know I want to hear, and I can do that at any time, has really revolutionised my life.
I used to listen. I've been a big radio fan forever and a day. My mum used to do radio programmes on local radio for BBC Wales, and I used to go and with her to the studio to record, and I actually sat in the control room of Bangor in North Wales, BBC Bangor, and I would this bank of knobs and buttons for a little boy was heaven on earth, and I think I caught the bug then, and I've been a radio listener ever since. And like you say, I'll be listening to something, usually a trailer on Radio 4, going, and coming up later is da 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 da. Perhaps there's an interview on Woman's Hour or something mid-afternoon. I'm going, well, I don't stand a chance because I'm working. And now you can go back and listen to it. But not only that, you can make sure that instead of having to remember, now, what's that interesting program that normally has something interesting? Let's say it was more or less the stats one. With Tim, what's his name? I can now just go, it doesn't matter what time it comes out. I don't have to know what time it repeats. It's on my app. It downloads. It comes up. There's a new episode as and when that's released, and I listen to it. Bosh.
Yeah, it is terrific.
That's the beauty. The beauty of it from an individual's point of view is you just need a computer, internet connection, and it really, you really should try and get a microphone, because otherwise you're going to struggle. You can struggle with noise quality. But your viewer will see that all I have is a headphone and microphone thingy. I'm sitting at my laptop. You can't see that, but this is how I record. This is the software that Claire and I are using now is the one I use to record my podcasts. I press record, we chat, I press end record, it converts it, and then I do a little bit of magic to convert it, and then I edit it, and then I put some music either end. And that's the tricky bit that put me off for ages, was the editing. But I'm getting more and more confident at it, and I really love it now.
So do you have a list of people that you're hoping to talk to, or is it more random? A great list.
I have a dream list of people. I started off not being too ambitious. It was asking about acquaintances, and then I got a press release from Unlimited saying, would I interview, they were launching a program, and would I be interested in interviewing people connected with it? And I said, yes, of course. And they got me the head honcho, the chief executive officer, I should call him, of Unlimited. And I thought, oh, this is good. I'd met him before very briefly in a networking thing about a year ago. He remembered me, or he politely said he did. And since then, it's been easier. I've systemized the way I do it. I'm better at saying no to certain people. Some people go, oh, he's got a podcast, he'll interview me. And no, not necessarily, I won't. I'll try it. If you've got a story, I'll interview you. And if you've got a podcast or there's a definite call to action. So you need a website or a good Instagram following or a good Facebook page and a story, then chances are I'll interview you. I'd love to do 2 episodes a week. but it's probably a bit ambitious at the moment. I think we'll just stick to one a week, and it may be in the autumn I'll go twice weekly, but that's a big step.
So is there anything, as I say, we'll add all that into the comments. Is there anything that you've come across website-wise or app-wise possibly in the internet world that you think has been really useful or interesting, or something you would encourage people to check out?
Oh my word, I love to try out different things. I love to try out an app or whatever. I think the one I would, let me have a look at my phone. I mean, I said Evernote's the one I really love, because that can do everything. I can, if I get an idea for a guest, if I've got time, I'll text it in and figure it in. But I can also just go press record and I can speak. I can take a picture of a receipt. I'm really bad at keeping records of receipts. So if I just take a picture of it there and then on the supermarket table, it's done and there's a record of it. And if it gets stuck in the washing because I've just stuck it in the back of my jacket or trousers, then it's not the end of the world. So I'd be loath to give up my Evernote. Otherwise, as well as podcast apps, I'd say Audible. I've got into audiobooks in a big way. They have their drawbacks for certain things, and a narrator I found can really spoil what I thought was a good book.
Yeah.
No, that's not how that character sounds. You got it wrong. You can't do the voice right.
The problem I had with Audible, I haven't used Audible. I get audiobooks from the library, and the only downside is before I had children, if I ended my journey and I still had 3 seconds left, I could just stop and listen to the end of the cliffhanger or the end of the chapter or the whatever was happening. And then and now I've had children. A, we listen to very different books, and B, they don't want to just wait till the end, or you have to get out and go to school. So you can't always listen to the bit you want to listen to, and we all got a bit frustrated with it. So we haven't had, unless we're having a mega long journey, we haven't had audiobooks for a little while because they were either too short or they were a bit too long, and we couldn't listen to the end, and everyone got very distressed. But yes, I love audiobooks. So moving on then, do you have a gadget? Is there anything physical that you think has made your life or the world a better place?
A physical gadget that has made the world a better place. Well, apart antibiotics.
Ooh, we've not had that before.
Off the top of my head, because I've not watched any of these for my sins, so I didn't know what questions you'd throw at me, and it's my fault. But off the top of my head, antibiotics. All the other gadgets I was thinking of, there's always been a slight drawback, but I think antibiotics and certain medications that we give our children are a godsend. I think if it saves lives, I would say antibiotics. And I'm tempted to say, because of last week, Melissa. Oh no, that's not a gadget. No, that's a person. Go on, next question.
Maybe that's for another interview. So that kind of draws us to a bit of a close then. I started this series really to just try and support myself and other people who get a bit overwhelmed sometimes by all the good things we should be doing and all the ways that we can, all the things we can do in life to support ourselves and be healthy, and also our environmental concerns. And sometimes there's so much out there that you end up doing nothing because it's just so overwhelming. So I started this really to try and pull together a few simple things that we can start to do, can start to make habits that still have an impact. And if we all did them, we would start to have a really positive impact in the world. So I'm just wondering if you could think of just one thing, a really simple, doable thing that people could start to include in their routine.
Well, I mean, the irony is we're recording this on Facebook. So there's that one, and but then again, you go, yeah, but that's where people are. It's better that I communicate with my tribe on Facebook. So we just, like you said, we just tear ourselves apart. It's just doing little things consistently and not. We've shared this before. I think we shared it on our podcast interview about this very thing of beating ourselves up, because also we get this message of, right, now we've done that, we move on to the next thing. So one week it's bumblebees and we must be nice to bumblebees. The next it's straws, plastic straws, and the amount of damage they do. And you're going, oh my life, I don't need plastic straws in this house. My children have upped and left home, but how did you... Seriously, would I make a 7-year-old drink out of a beaker again? Really hard. And we just get... Parenthood is guilt-ridden enough as it is, without the do-gooding brigade telling us what we should and shouldn't be doing. So give yourself a break, and do the little good that you can, and do it consistently. And don't give all of us a bad name by telling everybody how brilliant you are or what a sacrifice it is that you're doing this. Nobody likes, it's a horrible phrase, virtue signalling, and it should be banned. However, that's how it can come across sometimes, because it guilt trips the rest of us who still shop on Amazon or still have straws or whatever it is.
I love that, actually, to just give yourself a break. Actually, that's the one thing we can all do, isn't it?
We can, and also
it's just slim and hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And also maybe the Japanese attitude of steady, continuous improvement. The word is Kaizen, and it's normally applied to production techniques at Toyota, but I think it applies in everything else, steady, small steps. Oh, that's a really simple thing I could do. Maybe I could buy it from the local shop instead of the supermarket. It's only a baked potato, but that has to be balanced out against... shopping at 3 different outlets when you've got 2 children in hand, or going, the current bugbear in our household and has been for a long time, is bananas. Tesco's do bananas using one particular badge of ethical whatevers, and the co-op do fair trade bananas. Now, I'm told that fair trade bananas producers get a better deal than their Tesco one. I don't know. I haven't got time to check it out. I suspect, I've no idea. And I can read, and life's too short to spend too much time Googling the pros and cons of fair trade versus the Rainforest Alliance, or whatever it's called. Just, all I want is a banana.
I love it. I love the reality, and that's so what I'm about as well, because you know what, if you've bought either of those over the other ones, then probably you've made a good decision. If you've bought the ones that aren't in plastic, but aren't fair trade, maybe that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And actually, as long as we eat them and don't waste them, that's another layer of that. And I do think it is incredibly complicated. I love that your just one thing is just to just hand it up sometimes and just be at peace with where you're at. I think that's lovely.
Be at peace and be aware, and that's enough. Or that, do as much as you can. So I can do more because I'm 52 and my children have left home. But I would really like, if I had little ones, I would just go for whichever supermarket had whatever else was available. And the bananas, I would just buy bananas and try them all. the ethical ones and have done with it.
Oh, lovely. I love you've been a breath of fresh air, Rhys. And a breath of masculine air, I have to say.
Oh, that
thank
sounds
you.
wrong.
Thank you for being on our Just One Thing series. As I say, I'm going to add lots of things, and obviously you can as well, into the comments so people can have a bit of an explore. If they've not listened to a podcast before, what I particularly like about them is that they are quite bite-sized. You know, that they're little sort of chunks of information, and so I feel I can fit them in. You know, I'm sometimes filling the dishwasher, and I know I've got sort of 20 minutes, and I can find one that's 20 minutes long or a bit less, and so I really feel they fit in well to sort of modern living.
Exactly. Lovely. Thank you for having me on. Linked below, and I'm taking over now, aren't I? No, it's your show. Lovely. Socialgoodpodcast.com. I'm really active on Twitter at Rhys Morgan. Brilliant. Join the tribe. And I have a group as well that you can probably link to. So join all of those. It'd be lovely to see you. And if viewers have any ideas for guests, let me know.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. That's a great one.
So maybe you have somebody who works in a charity or a social enterprise, or they should be listening to the show. And if they've got a story to tell, or if you know somebody who knows somebody doing amazing things, let me know.
Brilliant. Yes, that's lovely. Right, I'm going to end it there. And thank you again. That's been brilliant.
Pleasure. Thanks.